Welcome to our latest explainer. Today, we are unpacking the absolutely fascinating science of turning casual, everyday hallway acquaintances into genuine, intimate friends right here at Riderwood Village. Look, starting over socially later in life, yeah, it can feel a little daunting. But if you've ever wondered how to transform a polite nod in the corridor into a deeply meaningful bond, you are in the exact right place. So let's dive right into this.
We often think adult friendships should just happen organically, kind of like the way they did when we were kids running around on the playground. But psychological research shows us that it actually requires intentional effort, a bit of brave self-disclosure, and some specific strategies. It's not just about getting lucky. It is literally about leveraging human psychology to build up our community.
So our roadmap for today covers 6 key areas. 1. The Riderwood social landscape. 2. The power of proximity. 3. Overcoming the liking gap. 4. The magic of self-disclosure. 5. Active constructive responding. And finally, 6. Maintaining healthy boundaries.
Okay, let's kick things off with Section 1, the Riderwood social landscape, building connection.
Researcher William Rawlins actually suggests that friendship naturally progresses through 5 distinct developmental stages. It all starts with what he calls role-limited interaction. Think about those polite, superficial chats you have when you first join a new club. You're just interacting based on your roles in that moment. Then, as you start to uncover some shared interests, you transition into friendly relations. Keep that going, and you eventually push all the way into a stabilized friendship. That's the sweet spot where trust is totally assumed and you know this person is a permanent fixture in your life. But how do we actually spark that very first stage when we're the new kid on the block?
That brings us to Section 2, the power of proximity, getting in the room. First documented by social psychologists, the proximity principle proves that we are mathematically far more likely to develop real relationships with people we interact with and literally live close to. It turns out, human beings inherently just like things and people that are familiar to them.
And honestly, this is exactly why our shared spaces here are so incredibly vital. They are literal engines for proximity, which is just a fancy word for being close to someone. Whether you're browsing the aisles at the MST library or surviving a highly competitive match on the pickleball courts, you're harnessing something called the mere exposure effect. Studies show that simply being seen repeatedly actually makes you more liked by your peers. No joke. So consistency really is your very best tool for connection.
Moving right along to Section 3, overcoming the liking gap, breaking the ice.
Psychologist Marisa G. Franco explains that most people avoid initiating friendships simply out of a fear of rejection. They fall victim to this tricky little thing researchers call the liking gap. Basically, we falsely assume others just don't want to connect with us. We consistently underestimate how much the other person actually enjoyed our company. Crazy, right?
Franco's advice for fixing this is incredibly powerful. She says, by simply assuming people already like you, you naturally become warmer, friendlier, and way more open. It literally becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. It helps you crush what's known as covert avoidance. You know what I mean by covert avoidance, right? It's when you physically show up to a gathering, but you mentally check out, like staring down at your phone or sitting quietly in the back row of a club meeting without making eye contact with anyone. When you just assume you are liked, you put those distractions away and truly, authentically engage.
Section 4, the magic of self-disclosure, vulnerability as a tool.
So to get past casual chatter, you have to open up. Sharing your vulnerabilities, your intimate thoughts, and your personal stories fundamentally shifts the boundaries of any relationship. It builds this really deep, reciprocal bond of trust. We often carry around this heavy, exhausting belief that people want us to be completely perfect. But research proves the exact opposite. The more intimately we disclose, the more liked we actually are. It clearly signals to the other person that they are valued and that they're safe with you.
And this self-disclosure? It is especially magical in intercultural friendships. Our community here is beautifully diverse, and embracing those diverse backgrounds leads to some amazingly rich, completely life-changing connections. When we push past perceived differences and share our unique personal histories, it absolutely broadens our worldviews. In fact, research shows that overcoming the initial anxiety of those differences often leads to much stronger bonds. Sometimes friends even create their own unique shared vocabulary, like Spanglish, just to communicate with each other. It really is a true celebration of human connection.
Next up is Section 5, active constructive responding, cementing the bond. So an absolutely crucial point in all this is how you respond to your friend's successes. Positive psychologist Shelley Gable's research reveals that responding to a friend's good news with an active, constructive response predicts relationship success far better than passive responses. Imagine someone shares good news, and you give a passive, constructive response. You just say, "Oh wow, that's cool." Honestly, it can actually feel a little dismissive. But an active, constructive response? That means showing sincere curiosity and energetic validation. Asking something like, "No way, you totally deserve this. How are we celebrating?" That proves you are deeply invested in their joy.
When we give our friends an active, constructive response, we are quite literally holding up a mirror for them. We are proving that their joys are seen, they are validated, and they are deeply, deeply valued. It creates this incredibly powerful, positive emotional state that makes the whole relationship absolutely thrive.
Which brings us to our final section, Section 6, Maintaining Healthy Boundaries, Managing Your Anxiety.
To maintain these great friendships, we can actually look at Bowen theory for some guidance. Now, while this was originally designed for families, it is unbelievably useful for community living. The whole idea emphasizes remaining a calm, completely neutral presence. Instead of getting reactive when drama flares up or community gossip starts making the rounds, taking a deliberate step back really helps reduce anxiety for everyone involved.
There are some key concepts here, like differentiation of self, which basically reminds us to stay true to ourselves even when we're under group pressure. Also, understanding the concept of a triangle is super vital. Whenever anxiety rises between two neighbors, a third person is almost always drawn in to relieve the tension. So recognizing that dynamic helps us avoid getting pulled into other people's conflicts, which ultimately keeps our own friendships super healthy and sustainable over the long haul.
Ultimately, Bowen theory is all about managing ourselves, rather than trying to automatically fix everybody else. By doing this, we introduce a calm, thoughtful presence that actually allows our peers the space to solve their own problems. It's entirely about being responsive rather than being reactive.
So, as you head out today, maybe over to the TNC library, the dining hall, or your very next club meeting, I want to challenge you to actually put this into practice. Initiate a conversation. Overcome that liking gap by just assuming they already like you, and actively, enthusiastically celebrate your neighbor's victories. Ask yourself right now, who will you share an active, constructive response with today? Because the truth is, the next great friendship of your life might just be sitting one table over, just waiting for someone brave enough to say hello.